Hi, Chloe Edwards. I'm going to ask you some questions today. My first one is, how do you verify that your embryo grading is accurate?
I am trained in IETS standards of embryo quality grading. I also take part in continuing education courses as they arise, so that I'm always up to date on my technique and my knowledge.
And then can you tell me about a time that you made a mistake in the lab? And first, how did you discover the mistake? And then how did you go about correcting it?
In high school, I interned in a small ruminant reproductive lab. It was the fall breeding season, so of course we're super busy in the lab. I was in charge of scheduling the AI and flushing of donors, which is a very time sensitive process, as you know. At the end of the day, I went over all the scheduling that I had made for the day and realized I had scheduled one of the flushes a day too long after the AI. This is a problem because the embryos will not be in the correct age or quality grade for transfer to the recipients, as you know. I ended up emailing and calling the ranch and rescheduled their flush before going home for the day. I apologized to the customer and they were very understanding. Their flush ended up very, very successful with lots of quality embryos and full term pregnancies.
Good. Occasionally, your embryos may be between stage grades. What steps do you take before making a decision on a questionable grade?
I always follow IETS standards of embryo grading. If I have any question on an embryo, I always ask multiple team members and my supervisor for a second opinion. A lot of these embryos aren't a classic stage or another, they're going to be in between. So if it's ever that questionable, I ask a supervisor.
Can you tell me about a time that you were in charge of keeping records for an embryo lab or a related experience?
I have raised animals my whole life. We raise registered Hampshires and club lambs. So I've always had to keep records. We raise the registered Hampshires, as you know, so you have to keep a very good record of the mothers and the offspring. You've got to keep records on weaning weights, everything like that. So I've got a lot of experience in that.
Good. And then finally, can you tell me about a time that you had to share some difficult news with a supervisor? And then how did you approach that?
While working the fall breeding season at the lab in Dublin, we came across an issue in the scheduling. Our scheduling department really underestimated how much time we needed during the time of high workload. We had so many embryos and canes of semen we needed to evaluate and store in one day. We just could not keep up on that schedule. The first time it happened, we all thought maybe it was just an error, but she continued to schedule that many ranches in one day. Eventually, we had to start canceling appointments the day of because we just didn't have enough time to keep up. It was frustrating for us because we don't want to let customers down or supervisors down, but nobody's happy when you're having to cancel appointments. I eventually asked my supervisor when they would be able to talk to me about it. During the meeting, I was really honest about how frustrating it was and that we just didn't have enough time to do quality work. And I told them it was just too much work in one day, and they really understood. My supervisor talked with scheduling, and we got it all under control at that point.
Good. I liked your responses to the questions. Very accurate and detailed responses. We'll definitely keep you in consideration. We'll be in contact.
Thank you. Bye.